Hello everyone. I hope everyone is doing great and staying safe. This is the second video in our debugging PySpark series. In our last video, we saw a brief introduction of Spark and its architecture. And in this video, we will talk about the importance of debugging, and then we will see how we can read and understand stack trace efficiently. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, the question I'm going to ask is for all the software engineers out there. How often have you written code that did not work on the very first try and that you had to debug? Well, we have all had that happen more often than we want to admit. So debugging is the process of fixing a bug or issue in the software like syntax error or the null pointer error that we get sometime. And it basically refers to identifying, analyzing and removing these errors. That is why debugging is such an important skill to have as a developer, and actually if we notice we spend a ridiculous amount of time debugging. The point that I am trying to stress upon is that to effectively find and eliminate errors and bugs actually qualifies us for being responsible for a valuable product and a valuable team, right? So if armed with the right tools and mindset, debugging can be very easy and even fun to do. Now we will go over one of the most powerful tools in the developer's arsenal for fighting errors, that is stack trace. We can also call it as stack traceback or stack backtrace. In this word, we have two words, stack and trace. Stack means a pile of objects or elements which follows last in first out principle. Consider it like a lunchbox. In lunchbox, the last box pushed onto the lunchbox is the first box to popped out, right? And there, in the second word, which is trace, which means to find the source of something, right? So if we combine both the words, it means tracing back a stack, or we can say stack of calls that program have made while its execution, right? Okay, let's understand in this way. For example, imagine we have an empty stack onto which we will push and pop integers. And also consider that we are running a program for pushing and popping from this stack. Think this stack of integers as the call stack, which means the stack of all the active calls. So now understand this, that calling a function is equivalent to pushing them on the stack. Like here we call the function 1 which is at the bottom of the stack. Then from within function 1 we call function 2 which then pushed on the stack above function 1 and so on. And then completing a function is same as popping it out from the stack. Like here, call of function 3 is going out of the stack after its completion. As long as program exists, the function at the top of the stack runs until its completion. And when no function are left in the call stack means the program has finished running. Right? For example, imagine we have a program like this with the method main, first, second and the third, where main calls first and second in order, with second calling third in line number 10 as part of its definition. While launching this program with main, we see the state of the call stack over the course of the program as follows, as shown in the right hand side of the screen. In right hand side of this table, I have represented the call stack, where leftmost call is the bottom of the stack and the rightmost is at the top. Okay, so in the beginning we call main. The main method call is pushed onto the stack trace. Then main call first and we push first onto the stack above main. Then when first function finishes, we pop the first function call from the stack and so on. It means when we are calling something, we are pushing it in the stack. When it is done, we are popping it out of the stack. Okay, now imagine that while testing your program, one of your methods run into an error or exception which is not handled. To help debug this, the program will produce a stack trace in your terminal. A stack trace is simply a printout of information about the call stack at the time when the error was observed. And then depending on the error, the program may continue or can stop executing and crash. Now let's analyze this stack trace which got generated when we try to run this code and understand how we can read stack traces in general. If you see this stack trace carefully, we can clearly see that it is a list of exceptions from the top exception to the deepest one. That is the reason we call it stack, because stack is first in, last out, which means the deepest exception which is present at the bottom was happened in the very beginning and it was the first one to enter the stack, and followed by a chain of exceptions that eventually got generated because of a series of consequences as a result of this bottommost exception. And the exception present at the top of the stack is actually the last one happened in the time, but we see it in the first place on the top of the stack trace, right? So now let's read it from the bottom and see if it makes sense. According to the stack trace, as shown in the last third line in the red color, an unhandled error was detected in the line 14 of the code script in the function third. We can also see that in reaching this unhandled error, third was initially called by second in line 10, right? I'm reading it from the bottom and going towards up. And then we can also see that second function was earlier called by main in line 4. This program was initially started with a call to main with the module referring to the main function here. This stack trace is also telling that the methods in the call stack came from the file stack trace example.py, which is shown in blue color here, and it matches with the code file name, right? So if we read the stack trace again now, it is telling that at some point of time in the life of this program, it called the method main in stack trace example.py, which called second in stack trace example.py, which in turn called third in stack trace example.py, which ran into an unbound local error on the line 14 at stack trace example.py. So for the developer performing a post-mortem debug, the stack trace is essential information that will help him or her to connect the dots. Like here, based on the information in this stack trace, we can see the error was caused due to division by 0. Therefore, it's true that learning how to read and understand the stack trace can be enormously useful in quickly fixing bugs, right? And actually this is very basic example and the stack trace here is only 10 lines long. But in real life projects, things are not this simple and straightforward. In big projects with many libraries, stack trace can be hundreds of lines long. As there we have nested stack trace and they are actually fairly long, almost 300 or 400 lines long, and I am not exaggerating here. Sometimes one exception is wrapped in another, which may in turn be wrapped in another, and so on. In the nested stack trace also, when we look at each of these stack traces, often it's the most nested or the innermost exception which gives the most useful information, and that's the root cause. So what we discussed is reading the stack trace from bottom to top can help us trace the exact path from the beginning of your code right to the exception. So now we know that stack trace provides us plenty of information about the fatal error that we encounter in our code. Like it shows the sequence of methods that resulted in the error that is being thrown. Second, it also shows the line in question that encountered the error. And the third, we also got to know the error itself. So in most of the cases, the thumb rule is to have a quick look at the very top, that is the first line, and then ignore all the lines and then come to the very bottom. Generally, the bottommost error or the caused by a clause is the root cause of the exception. So the takeaway for you is that learning how to understand stack trace and read them quickly will make debugging very less painful. It's a skill that improves with practice. So next time when you see a big stack trace, don't be intimidated. There is lot of useful information there if you know how to extract it. As I said in the beginning as well, the humble stack trace is one of the developer's most powerful tools. It is especially powerful in debugging and analyzing existing software. So that's it for this second video in this debugging PySpark playlist. In the next video, we will start the debugging of PySpark error or exception. Please do let me know in the comments what are your views about the topic we discussed today, or if you have understood what we discussed, because it is very important that I get your valuable feedback. If you like the videos, please give this video a thumbs up, or also do watch the next video in this debugging PySpark series. Okay then, we'll meet you in the next video. Till then, keep learning and take care. Thank you.